The following is a special presentation of the First Horizon Green Sports Zone. This is the Baileyton Drug Company Eric Tilson Show.
Welcome back to First Horizon's Green Sports Zone, and welcome back to this week's edition of the Baileyton Drug Company Eric Tilson Show, where we cover everything on the Tundra with the North Greene Huskies football team. We'll recap this past week's loss in the Class 1A playoffs opening round, and we'll recap the 2025 season for the Huskies. But as always, we need to go ahead and get a word in from our sponsors first. So don't go anywhere. We'll talk about both of those things right after this quick break here on First Horizon's Green Sports Zone.
The Baileyton Drug Company Eric Tilson Show is brought to you by Gateway Ford Nissan, Tommy's Plumbing, by Baileyton Drug Company, and by First Horizon Bank.
Here's a twist on your typical banking options. What if instead of choosing between a big bank or a small bank, you had one bank that's the best of both? That's First Horizon. Big bank muscle with small bank hustle. Big bank convenience and small bank connection. When the best of big meets the best of small, you get it all. To help you on the road to your horizon. First Horizon Bank.
Welcome back to First Horizon's Green Sports Zone, and welcome back to this week's edition of the Baileyton Drug Company Eric Tilson Show, where we cover everything down in Baileyton with the North Greene Huskies football team. As always, I'm joined here with head coach Eric Tilson and a special guest this week, senior quarterback Thomas Darnell. Thomas, how's it going this week?
Pretty good. How you doing?
Good. Coach, how are you doing?
Welcome back to the round table.
Absolutely. Last time this year. Unfortunate that's the last time. Sad the season's over. We never got a coffee sponsor either.
No, a little disappointed.
I know. Monster never sponsored us either, so we're moving on. We'll do something different next year, I guess.
The Tilson household is sponsoring the coffee.
There we go. But opened up the playoffs last week here at home in Baileyton. It was a special night, of course. It's always a special night when you get to host the playoffs. Things didn't go your way, though, with a 34-18 loss to Oliver Springs. Still a competitive ball game played with a team that you talked about is a terrifically talented team. So take me through that game from start to finish.
Well, didn't start off very well. Gave up an onside kick right off the bat, and kind of frustrating when you know it's coming, and still executed poorly. And but defensively stepped up quite a bit and got a couple stops really early on. We knew coming into it that they're one of the best backs in the state, probably a kid who should have been a Mr. Football finalist, and we were able to get some stops, and we're a little competitive, especially up front. So get a couple stops, we get the ball back, and driving down the field pretty well. And biggest thing this year is we get things rolling, and then a couple setbacks, just whether that's miscommunications, whether it's a snap, whether it's a turnover, and end up turning the ball over. But the good part is when your defense is as competitive as it is, you give yourself some chances from there. So I felt like offensively kind of did what we needed to do, and put ourselves in a pretty good spot. And a lot of that comes down to the signal caller making good decisions, and especially in the run game, made us real competitive, especially with his feet. I mean, rushing for over 100 yards in a playoff game is no easy feat, especially Region 2 as competitive as they are. I mean, you're talking about a quarterfinal, semifinal team the last couple of years, and we were within let's just say it was essentially a one-score ball game there right at the end of the game. So pleased with our competitiveness and execution. There's a few things that you can go back and look about things we could have been better at, but that was the most competitive playoff game we've had, at least since I've been here. Like, we had a chance to win it. Just being now hosting 2 years in a row and now being competitive in playoff game, it does bode like, okay, our kids have been there now. And so it does bode well for future occurrences when we get back to this point. So overall, pretty pleased with the competitiveness. Again, there's some things we'd like to take back, but thus is the game of football. People make plays, and other team puts you in bad spots sometimes, and they did a couple times. They got a couple scores because they made a real good call and a well-executed point of the game. So there's a few plays like that, but overall, pleased with our run game. My goodness, Braden. I mean, he
200-yard rushers this game. That's special, also.
I'd like to go back and look at yards after contact. That man played with his hair on fire. And it's hard not to hand him the ball off. I'm pretty sure it's a couple times he probably should have kept it. But Braden running like he is, you go ahead and make somebody miss. One, he had a 45-yard run. We didn't block it correctly. Our kick player went the wrong way. So we had the defensive end unblocked, and he ran right through him and then trotted 45 yards down the field. So that pretty good night when your running backs are running that well. And even Leon, when he got his chances, getting a 13-yard running over people, it's a pretty good night. And then, of course, the big plays came from Thomas with his legs. One of our best runs of the night was scrambling from drop back because they just deplete, which we actually we put in a draw in this week because we kind of knew when we drop back, their linebackers turn and run, and so we were able to take advantage of that. Some of it was called, some of it wasn't. Then our read option game, Thomas did a good job of just distributing the ball around and scored on one of our triple option plays, and then scored on a designed quarterback counter. So helps when you got a guy back there who can run the ball as well as he does.
And Thomas, I want you to take us through the game from your eyes, because this is a cool dynamic this week. Usually I ask you to take me through the game through the eyes of a head coach. We've actually got a player here now, specifically the quarterback, that can take us through the game. So I know it was a rough start from the first quarter, but you're able to wheel the team back within a 2-point deficit there in the second quarter. So take us through the game from your eyes from start to finish.
And, at the start, past 4 years we've made the playoffs, and it's basically the same thing every year. You got to come out with a lot of energy. Mistakes are going to happen, and the big thing we talked about in practice all week was that bad things are going to happen, but you got to figure out how to respond to that. And I felt like we did really good at that this year, especially with this game. That first quarter wasn't exactly the way we wanted it to go, but we talked about in practice, like I said, responding, and I feel like that's a big thing because we had a lot of seniors graduate this year, and I feel like that's contributed to just our maturity level, like inside school and locker room, on the field. I feel like that helps because we try to get things going in practice and listen to coach, and I feel like that contributes a lot to us being a senior-led team. So, and then with that first quarter not going the way it really wanted it to, we kind of bounced back and made it a competitive ball game, and we were just getting what they took us, and I feel like a lot of that came from preparation, and you just come out on the wrong end sometimes.
And let's talk about the scoring plays also. You have 3 scoring plays in the game. You accounted for 2 of them with a 7-yard rushing touchdown to close that gap to 14-12, and you had the final one from 29 yards out, and then Braden had one from 9 yards out, all 3 in the rushing department. So take me through those touchdown plays, whether you want to go first or you want to go first from your eyes. Talk about that trio of scoring plays.
You got it.
I think the first one was the 29-yard Braden had the first one, pretty sure.
Okay.
I really don't exactly remember that play, but I can take it through mine. I think the first one I had was my 29-yard, and that was on a triple. It was actually a quadruple option play. So it was
rarity.
It was like our main run. You had a pitch off of that, and you had a slant from the other guy. So I really had 4 options out there. I could either hand it off, or keep it myself, pitch it, or throw it. And you kind of just on that, you got to make the defense wrong. So whatever they choose, they're wrong because you can always get another option off that. So the defensive end crashed, and I kept it, and then he went straight to the pitch guy, and then the corner playing our receiver had him locked up, so I just took off and made one cut and got off of that. And then the next touchdown I had was that 7-yard run, I think, and that was just all the O-line. They just cleared the path completely for me, so I give all the credit to them for that.
And we were at quarterback counter, so everybody's flying opposite. When Braden's running as well as he can, counters work pretty well.
Yeah, and then
linebackers are flying. So.
Braden had a great night also, 17 rushes for 144 yards, like you talked about, running with his hair on fire. He was able to get into the end zone from 9 yards out. Talk to me about that play and what you've seen when he was able to get into the end zone.
That particular drive, I think we ran the same play 3 times in a row. We found it was essentially, we call it our duo play, but it's essentially inside veer. Just everybody's blocking down. We're reading the in-man line of scrimmage and kicking the opposite side. And one thing we've been talking about all year is running past the trash, and Braden did exactly that and hit up some pretty big a bunch of chunk plays. And then we put Braden in the backfield as a pitch guy and kind of left the linebacker out of the box, and we kept it once that drive, and then we handed it off, and then down at the end we just called our counter play, and Braden just found a seam, and they were kind of playing it the same way every play, so he kind of noticed what they were doing, so he made the linebacker wrong, and then he just found a seam and just dove into the end zone so to get that first score. So but scoring wise, did what we needed to do there. Again, put it within 14-12 there. And one thing to note is I think that ball game's a whole lot different too if we have everybody available for that game. So one missing mark you'll notice is our extra points. Juan wasn't able to be available, and it's no fault of his own. It just I can't go into details why, but just was not available to play, and so that made a big effect, having to go for two every time. And to credit Oliver Springs, they called a timeout and they adjusted well to our 2-point plays, and we still had a chance to score in a couple of them if we convert at least one of them. Now you're talking about 28-20 or 28-21 at the end of the game. So that's a much different outlook when you're got the ball trying to go score to either tie or win the game at the end of it, instead of having to be worried about two different possessions, and especially when you can't kick a field goal either. So you're having to score touchdowns every time you go score. So that's definitely a different process going in the game. But again, we talked about responding, and we had to respond to that adversity before the game, and we had to respond to adversity in the game. And like what Thomas is talking about, having a senior group like them, they've been through a lot, so they're able to respond pretty well, and they get a lot of grief with everything they've been through. But at the same time, they deserve a lot of credit for where this program is right now. To host 2 playoff games in a row, 2 winning seasons in a row, they get all the credit for that.
And we'll talk about the senior group as a whole in the back half of this. But while we've got Thomas here, I want to ask him about his time here as through his 4 years in North Greene. So I know back-to-back winning seasons, back-to-back home playoff games, 4 straight playoff games, highest scoring total in team history in back-to-back years. I think tied for the winningest class. A lot of accolades that this senior class has accomplished. How proud are you of everything that you've done here at North Greene in your 4 years?
I don't think we've got enough time to talk about a lot of stuff that's happened the past 4 years, but I'm more proud of the guys that I've came up with from all the way to freshman, senior year, that we've laid a foundation for the upcoming classes for them to be able to continue that. And I'm proud of what we did, but I think it's going to be even more like gratifying when I'm not playing anymore here and looking back and seeing them having success too. And I could be like, we put in the hard work for that. We got out of starting freshman year, that 1-9 season, worked our way up and sweated through practice and grinded every day. And I feel like I'll be more proud of seeing what they do in the upcoming seasons than rather what we did.
And I know that you walk out of here as one of the most, I think he has the scoring record.
I guarantee it.
So that's one thing that we don't have the stats for, but you can go back and
I mean, 58
is a tough
touchdowns.
number to reach. Yes. So I know you don't like to talk about yourself personally. Every time I think I've asked you a question, it's always been centered around a team. But this is one time I am going to ask you to talk about yourself a little bit. How cool is it knowing that you'll leave North Greene now with with the career touchdown record?
I just think like I said, it's gratifying for that too, because it kind of gives me a sense of like, okay, everything you did for the past 4 years, some days you don't, I mean, honestly, some days it's hard and you don't want to be here and you're here every day and you're really in a grind and you got to push through that. But I think it's just good for me to know that all of that hard work paid off in a certain way, and for the team benefit too. I feel like not just with me being for that, but I think that it's just gratifying to see that all that paid off the past 4 years, and I think that's something that'd be pretty cool I can think about for a while.
I know you talked about freshman year, you go 1-9 all the way to now you have back-to-back winning seasons as a junior and a senior. How much more rewarding is it having these back-to-back winning seasons, setting the school record for points scored in a single season in back-to-back years after how you started out your freshman year and having to grind through that process your freshman and sophomore years to get where you're at? How rewarding was that?
I just think it's cool that you come in a program and come from middle school, because middle school it's a lot different ballgame than high school, and a lot of people don't find that out until they actually get here. And when you get here and you play and you go 1-9, it's like, for me, I'm a competitor, and that's my favorite thing to do. It don't matter what you're doing, like playing sports, just anything. I love to compete, so I feel like that kind of gave me a little bit of motivation after the first year to really get in here and work and try to turn things around. And I feel like you would be not giving yourself as much as you could if you didn't try to give 100% every day and try to turn something around. Like I said, I feel like that'll be really cool to see that we got out of that, and then now I'm leaving on a high note the past 2 years, and that I get to watch the guys that I've played with continue that and try to build something off that, so that'd be pretty cool.
We talked about 58 touchdowns, and before we started the recording, we talked about the first touchdown all the way to the 58th. I know from your eyes you don't see it in real time, and it's tough to see in real time, but how much do you think you developed from that freshman year touchdown all the way to your final touchdown in this playoff game your senior year?
That's a lot, man. That first touchdown I scored was actually here against South Greene, I think, and it was a trick play. So Grayson threw that to me, and then that's just cool seeing, like, Grayson threw me my first touchdown, and then I got moved to quarterback, and I was throwing him touchdowns, and he graduates, and then I'm handing the ball off to Yeshua, and he's scoring, and you kind of I contribute a lot to that also to the people I'm playing around too. I've had a lot of great players. I played with Duffy. I can go with Yeshua, Duffy, all the offensive line. They paved the way. A lot of great receivers played with. I mean, I feel like when you got guys that good around you, they take some of the pressure off of you, so it kind of opens up things for you. And I feel like that from the first touchdown to the last touchdown, there's a lot of hard work and a lot of preparation and a lot of encouragement from coaches. And I know I got a community that really backs us up and backs up the whole team and wants to see us succeed. So I feel like that helps a lot when you got people around you that want to see you succeed.
Last question I've got for you, too. How much of a lasting impact does North Greene have on you?
Like I said, we ain't got time to talk about that, but past 4 years, I'd say football has been probably the best thing that's happened in the past 4 years of my high school career. I'd encourage anybody to play football, whether you play basketball, baseball. I think everybody should play football just for the fact that it's hard and that you learn. I've learned more life lessons in football than I have in the past 4 years from anything else, and I feel like that'll be something that I can always look back and think about. Stuff happened here, stuff got hard, but you just keep pushing through, and then you eventually see the payoff from that work. So I feel like that football as a whole has taught me a lot about life, not just playing the sport, but there's a lot of life lessons and a lot of things I can take away from this game that are bigger than the game itself.
I'm going to transition that to you, and I'm going to combine both of those questions into one right there. From his freshman year to his senior year, how much did you see him develop, and how much of a lasting impact has he made on this program going forward?
I remember him coming in, Coach Matt Weems telling me, this one's going to be a special one. And he was absolutely right. So we saw a lot of promise, and the biggest thing, again, stuff that doesn't show up is he's one of the first kids to start showing up for winter workouts his 8th grade year. Show up consistently there, came to spring practice even though he wasn't allowed to do anything. Would try to go watch and learn, and then comes in as a freshman and plays almost immediately. Try not to remember too much about that season, but there's a lot of fun moments. That was one of those years he can test. We had a lot of fun that year, and just a great group of kids, and just worked very good as a team. But had a good group and kids that wanted to come to work, and then there through the middle spell. Had to overcome a lot of adversity, a lot of change was going on, and having to move positions, especially to the quarterback position. That's an especially hard one, especially when you haven't played it. But our team needed it, and it proved to be a big payoff for us as a coaching staff. But watching him having to transform himself to a sophomore kid, then having to become a leader immediately. and then watching him mold into the captain he is now, it makes me proud to hear the things he's talking about right now. Like not even the football related stuff, about the stuff he's having to overcome and learning how to attack life and learning how to do those type of things. And I'll tell you, one of my more proud moments was not even about a week ago, listening to him speak at the SCA banquet, and it's like, you know what, that this is what this is all about. Watching him represent our community, represent our school, represent our program in such high fashion, this kid's going to be highly successful in whatever he decides to do. So, and he'll be some family out there is going to be very fortunate. Whoever he decides to marry, and whatever company he decides to either start or go be a part of, they're going to be great to have him. So he's been. You want to model anything after anybody, this is the guy to do it. And he's leaving here as not that young kid anymore, but as a grown man who has achieved a whole lot, and we're extremely proud of him, and look forward to especially what comes out of this basketball season, and they'll just go ahead and put it on record. I hope this is not the last time we see you in a football uniform. So hopefully we get some things rolling in that department.
Absolutely. Thomas, once again, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Good thing is you got basketball season ahead, so it's not the last time we'll see him in a North Greene uniform, just the last time in a North Greene football uniform. He gets 2 Green Sports Zone interviews in back-to-back days. How about that?
How about that?
That's a rarity. There's not many players that get that special treatment, but we'll talk about the season as a whole in the second half. We'll touch on some stats, some records, and some things, and talk about the senior class in the second half, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after these quick messages here on First Horizons Green Sports Zone.
Baileyton Drug Company services the surrounding communities of Baileyton with excellent patient care using a full-line pharmacy, over-the-counter selections, and a convenient drive-thru. When you visit us, you are treated as a neighbor, not a number. It's not just our slogan, but our culture. We're investing in our patients, local schools, and community. For over 5 years now, we have established ourselves as an independently family-run pharmacy that isn't driven by corporate goals. We are driven by what is best for your overall health and wellness. We're conveniently located so you don't have to make the drive. Prescription drugs are just the tip of the iceberg. We also offer natural remedies, essential oils, at-home medical needs such as walkers, rollators, bath accessories, as well as wound care products. And coming soon, basic urgent care services. What makes us better than other drugstores out there? When you frequent Baileyton Drug, you will receive professional, courteous, and friendly service that goes above and beyond any other pharmacy in the area. Remember, you're a neighbor, not a number.
Here's a twist on your typical banking options. What if, instead of choosing between a big bank or a small bank, you had one bank that's the best of both? That's First Horizon. Big bank muscle with small bank hustle. Big bank convenience and small bank connection. When the best of big meets the best of small, you get it all. To help you on the road to your horizon. First Horizon Bank.
Tommy's Plumbing has been in business for 30 years, and we're still growing because we treat our customers like family. We are proud to do any job from kitchen faucet installation to a complete home repipe. Tommy's Plumbing offers warranties on most products installed by our technicians. When the job is done, our friendly professionals make sure to clean up. We invite you to visit our new showroom in Jonesboro to see our quality products for yourself. Tommy's is the only one to call when you need a fast, reliable, professional plumber in the Tri-Cities.
At many dealerships, you get what you'd expect: games, gimmicks, and shady sales tactics. At Gateway Nissan in Greenville, expect the unexpected: low prices, convenient service, and a great buying experience.
Get our Gateway exclusive lifetime powertrain warranty.
No worries for life.
You deserve the unexpected. It's the #1 reason you gotta get to Gateway.
Shop online at GatewayNissanGreenville.com.
Or take the super short drive down Highway 11E to Gateway Nissan in Greenville.
Welcome back to First Horizons Green Sports Zone, and welcome back to this week's edition of the Baileyton Drug Company Eric Tilson Show, where we cover everything on the Tundra with the North Greene Huskies football team. As always, I'm joined here with Huskies head coach Eric Tilson. So it's the end of the season, and you're graduating a very important senior class. The winningest class, I think, here at North Greene. I think they tied that mark. We talked about it with Thomas in the first half. All kinds of records and accolades that would take too much time to go through, but we've been putting it off a few weeks now. I know senior night was 2 weeks ago. Didn't get to talk about them then. Didn't have the time to talk about them last week before your playoff game with Oliver Springs. But unfortunately, we do have the time now since it's the end of the season. So talk about this senior class as a whole. I know it would take too long to talk about how much they meant to this program, but in the shortest amount of time you can, just talk about the senior class and how much they meant.
Well, part of the reason we've been putting this off because I haven't really wanted to do it yet. Because to be talking about this right now means that it's over, and this group means a whole lot, not just to me personally, but to our coaching staff, this community, this program, and what they have gone through and the success that they've had. The mark of a good competitor is somebody who puts their organization or team, their program in a better position than what they found it, and they did exactly that. 'Cause when they came here, we were still searching for what our identity was as a program, and they were able to help shape that, and they able to leave here as one of the most successful groups, tying the win total of a 4-year period. But most importantly, they did it with making the playoffs every year. They've been in school. The offensive marks that they were able to make, they improved. This is one of the crazier ones, improving the scoring margin like it did. It's over 35 points a game. 2 years in a row, we've scored more points than we've given up. Something that hasn't happened here, maybe just once or twice. And it's and there's a lot of things like I don't even know what the records are. So just stuff we're not able to, and I'd like to think some of our kids are up there in tops. I'd love to be able to have a historian be able to go back and look to see where like Brandon Weems lines up in terms of receiving, where Braden lines up in terms of touchdowns scored in a season, where Leon Johnson is on tackles and stuff like that. I'd love to be able to see that type of stuff, but overall, just this group as a whole, they'll remember more what they did as a group than what they will. The stats are cool and stuff to talk about, but collectively what they were able to achieve as a team, that stuff ends up meaning a whole lot more in the long run. But as we go through our seniors, we had 9 of them. Start off with 2 that you don't really see on a whole lot of stat sheets because they were journeymen throughout this program, as Skylar Miller and Damian Phillips, and 2 kids that people don't understand how hard it is to play a sport like football. Football's hard, and but a lot of people, what gives them to be able to make it through practice is knowing, okay, on Friday I'm able to get my playing time, be able to get some satisfaction and see like what happens on Friday. And those are 2 kids that just came to work, practice, and for 4 years did whatever they need to help the team out, whether that was being a scout team player, coming in on special teams, whether that was field goal, whatever it was. And you need those type of players to have a successful program, and we're a competitive organization. So we play who puts us in the best position to win ball games, and sometimes you're not one of those players. And but it does show the commitment of those kids in particular to come do this year after year without the ability to go out onto the field and actually get a whole lot of playing time. So that says a lot about their character. And then moving on, we'll go with our front first because there's a whole ton of them. Mm-hmm. So we'll start off with our right tackle, Adam Bernard. I tell them this all the time. If you would have told me he would have been like what he finished up at as a freshman, I would have straight up laughed at you because He came in, hadn't played a whole lot of football before, and I don't know if he could walk and chew gum at the same time, but he was one of those that really invested and listened to everything we told him to do. And he really turned himself into a good football player. Somebody who started for 2.5 years and was a solid offensive lineman for us, solid defensive lineman for us. And he might not be somebody who gets a whole lot of postseason recognition, but he's one of those that I would say maximized his potential. And I don't know if there's a higher compliment you can say about a kid other than somebody who maximized what their potential was. And then other two offensive defense linemen, Blake Hurd was another one. As a freshman, hadn't played a whole lot of football, but we really didn't know where he would land in terms of ability, and he's really turned into one of our best centers that I've coached at the high school level in terms of just consistency. Didn't have, once he came and started playing center, didn't really have any problems with snaps, didn't have a whole lot of issues there, and just was a really solid player for us, and then turned out to have a really good defensive year this year. It's top 5 in tackles for us, had multiple tackles for loss this year, and really was a big asset moving from the offensive line to actually started out a linebacker this year and then moved to defensive line. And one of those, just a very mature kid, would give the shirt off your back, and he was like that with his teammates, and just really good to see that. And then that leads us to our left guard, Colton Suggs, who I had to convince to come out to play football. And the only reason he was allowed to come out and play football is because his dad had found out that I was real tough on kids. And he's like, you know what? You need that. So you need to go out and go play football. And he's been one of our toughest kids we've had since he's been here. So he has really transformed himself. I want to say he came in as like 165, 170 pound, ended up playing, started as a sophomore. And then he's up to over 205, 210 pounds now. Really turned himself into a solid offensive lineman. Was one of our best defense players this past year. One of those kids was like, just, hey, you're on the field now. You're not coming off. You just stay out there. We're not taking you off unless you have to come out. And was really valuable in that regards, and one of those kids we'll really miss. And then our left tackle, actually we had to flip Colton and Owen towards the end of the year. Owen Pierce, who came in as one of our best offensive linemen his freshman year, was region newcomer of the year his freshman year, and has stayed that consistency throughout his entire career. Has been our best offensive lineman for years. Was playing to that regard, and he elevated the people around him. And it's just unfortunate this year he had sustained an injury in the middle of the year, kind of knocked him out of for a few weeks, and then even though he was back for a couple weeks, still trying to nurse an injury. I know that's frustrating when that happens as a senior, but he handled that about exactly the way you're supposed to. Was a real tough kid, and I'm pretty positive that he played a few games he probably shouldn't have played, but he came out. He'd do anything he could to be able to help the team out, and he's a big reason why our run game was as successful as it was. And his ability mentally, able to grasp our concepts up front, his ability to do that really helped us kind of transform, like this group in particular. Kind of as a coach, I kind of went through a transformation about how we teach some of the stuff that we do, and this group allowed me to kind of really reinvent the way we teach our run game. And they were able to pick it up, and they were able to help the young guys figure it out. And I don't think I'll ever look back from the way we teach things now. This group in particular has a lot to do with that. It started with Owen as a freshman learning it, and then Blake started understanding it, and he became a smart football player. Colton was the same way, and Adam was the same way. So when you got 4 guys up front that kind of understand what you're trying to do, you can overcome a lot of things you might be deficient in terms of size and skill, and just really proud of that group up front. So they have a lot to be proud of, and so then it leads to the kids that you hear about all the time. So we'll start off just Brandon first. What a special football player. You talk about a gamer who steps up in some big situations. So not afraid to put his nose in there, not afraid to go make a play. And one in particular actually started last year, the Jellicoe game last year, where we're at a 4th and 15. You were at that game.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember it now.
It was 4th and 15. We had ran a play earlier, like first or second down, and he was open. And we had looked the opposite direction. I had told our quarterback, hey, I want you to look to this side because we saw something defensively, but we weren't able to complete it. So he comes to the sideline after timeout and says, I'm going to get open. So, and I'm thinking, it's like, that's not really a good play call right here. But like the look in his eye, and it's just like, he's going to get open. So we call it, and his brother Braden had asked us, like, hey, do you want me to change my route to make sure I'm in the end zone? I was like, well, no, that's a good question, but no, I want you to run it exactly how it's supposed to be done. So because for some reason, like most teams would run their coverages where everybody's in the end zone because we have to score.
Yeah,
well, they
4th and goal, I believe. Yeah.
Well, they weren't doing that, so they held their underneath player. So Braden ran a hitch, and that underneath player came up, and then they had a deep player in Braden's zone. He ran his route, got open. Thomas found him, dunked it with about 12 seconds left, and I'll never forget that. Just because I remember looking at Coach Tyler Bailey and looking, I was like, I don't know about this. So I was like, I wasn't very confident in that, but in terms of the play call itself, like schematically, on paper, it should not have worked.
Yeah.
But there's something to be said about like when players believe. That's another, and there was another situation this year where we had a 4th down call, and they go out there, and Brandon looks at me. It's like, Coach, it's not open. So I was like, okay, and I heard it. So I saw the look in his eye. He goes out there, they line up. I'll give it a second, call timeout, bring him back out. We changed the play call, and then it gave us a shot to get the first down. So there's something about an intuition with players, and he definitely had it. And so he this year hit the highest receiving total that we've had since I've been here. I'd say it's up there amongst career-wise. If it's not number one, it's pretty daggone close. It has to be. But he had 633 receiving yards this year with 6 touchdowns with 40 receptions. That's a pretty good number there. He actually ran the ball a little bit more than most receivers do.
Yeah.
So he had 9 rushes for 79 yards.
2 more touchdowns.
8.8 yards per carry, and he had 2 touchdowns there. The reason that number is probably not very high because most of the time when we called his number was down in the red zone, and he had short field to work with. Or we were using him to get a first down. But he had some spectacular numbers there. But the thing I think he'll be most known for leaving here is returns. Mm-hmm. There's multiple times that I'm sitting here like, okay, they're going to squib kick it here. What are we going to do on offense? All of a sudden I see the ball go up in the air, and I'm like, well, PAT. And that's why the ball's in the air, because as soon as they kick it deep to us, we got a shot to go score. And I think he opened the season off 2 years ago with a return. He's opened the game multiple times with a return, and it's like as coaches, we only send a couple games at a time. Mm-hmm. So we don't send to every single game. Now, for us, we get most of the games, so we kind of go through and watch through it. And sometimes when they kick it deep, I'm like, they must not have watched too far back because there's a reason why everybody squib kicks kick it against us is because they don't want us to return it. And it's like, well, they're about to learn a lesson here real quick. And so he's very special in that regards. And even some of his returns he had on defense too, scooping scores, interception for returns. I mean, he scored a total of 76 points this year himself, just 2 rushing, 6 receiving, 4 returns, and 2 2-point conversions. So that's a lot of points scored just by themselves. And then we'll move into his brother, Braden. Braden had played a whole lot of defense for us the past few years, but he's really dynamic with the football. And we noticed that in scrimmages. We noticed that in practice. We noticed that in different places from there. And we had him playing receiver. Well, it's kind of hard to play receiver and don't catch the ball very well. And we're like, man, we have to find a way to get this kid the ball. Because he'd made some circus catches the year before. But just the consistency in catching just hadn't been there. And it's like, it's hard to get you the ball. Well, towards the end of the year last year, it's like, well, just hand him the ball off. So we tried it out a couple times, and he ran a couple, and it's like, okay. We just saw it, and we're like, okay, this is we're going to work on this, because he did something he hadn't learned the position at that point. So we're like, we're going an entire off season learning how to take a handoff, learning how to read. Man, he was a dynamic running back, he had great vision. And I remember the Sullivan East scrimmage, he got hit in the backfield, stuck his foot in the ground, and got vertical immediately. And one thing we tell the running backs is run past the trash. So the trash is the front of the defense. Once you run past the trash, you're in open field. Because a lot of times if you're running full speed, they're running sideways. So you can outrun them to the point, and you're able to outrun a whole lot of people. And he really took at the heart. So Braden had 8.8 yards per carry, but he only had 9 carries. Braden had over 80 carries, had 8.6 yards per rush. Rushed for almost 700 yards, had 11 touchdowns total. He scored 72 points himself, because he also scored a return touchdown this year too. So I know for a fact, because I've looked back at season scoring totals, like there's a lot of them under 150 points total on the year for the entire team.
And those brothers collectively have
148 by themselves. That's the highest family total for sure. As a family in 1 year. So 2 brothers together. So that I'm gonna go ahead and say that is a record. Yes, family total from there. And then we had a little spell there in the middle of the year where we had a few injuries, and unfortunately he was one of them. Actually on one of his big long runs early in the year, got banged up a little bit, was kind of nursing injury all year, so he kind of took a step back defensively, just kind of make sure he's out, because we needed him, especially for a 2-back and 1-back, and he ended up being one heck of a running back for us. And so that was one question mark going into the year, is what's our run game going to look like after graduating a career leading rushing total leader. And we got our answer quite a bit this year. I mean, with him and Darnell and Leon, we rushed for over 2,000 yards, and that's the first time since I've been here we've rushed for over 2,000 yards in a season. So that's a lot of credit to those guys up front that we've talked about, and a lot of credit to those guys in the backfield. I know Leon's not a senior, but he really enhanced our run game quite a bit, just being that bruiser between the tackles, and he had enough speed to break some long ones as well, with 10 touchdowns on the year. So then we move into Darnell. What a special kid. So just not from a football standpoint, just from a leadership standpoint. And he one of the easily coachable kids I've coached, and just had a real special knack for quarterback position, and kind of understood what we wanted done, and kind of had the skill set to do it. And you notice a difference when he wasn't in versus when he was in. And we were better off having him. He had 722 yards rushing this year, 8 yards a carry. He had 5 touchdowns, and they were all in like the last few games.
Yeah. Something you pointed out, I think game 8 was his first rushing touchdown of the year.
But it's like, well, why is that? It's like, well, because he's distributing the ball like he's supposed to. And when you got running backs like Leon, you got running backs like Braden, and you got receivers like we do, and he's just giving the ball to the playmakers, and they're going out and making plays. And and then he throws for over 1,000 yards again this year. It's the second year in a row he's done that with over double-digit touchdown total. So, and that's where his 58 total touchdowns in his career comes from. So,
which has to be a record.
Has to be. He's responsible for it. And then type of kid too. You try to protect your quarterback, especially defensively, and he's one of those who's like, hey, we need you on defense. And he'd go right out there and go mix it up on defense as well. So there's a lot of things to be said about that kid. He does a lot of things like he's supposed to, and real pleased with his maturation throughout his career. And he's really turned into a great leader, and there's a reason why he's so successful in everything we do. We talk about being a winner. You win in the classroom, you win in the weight room, you win on the field, and then you become a winner. And that he's kind of modeled that throughout the last 4 years. He wins in the classroom, he wins in the weight room. He hang cleans over 275 pounds as a quarterback. And there's not a lot of high school kids that can do that. And granted, we don't even have the right bars to do our Olympic lifts. Like, we don't have Olympic bars. They're power bars. They're real thick ones too. And he does things the right way, the way they're supposed to be done, which is a big reason why this class is as successful as they are, is because they collectively as a group decided that we want to be successful. Now, were they successful in every game? No, but they didn't let those losses be failures. They learned from it, they moved on, and able to take from what they needed to help us try to achieve our goals. And they were able to achieve the majority of the goals they set for themselves. So I think they can be really, really happy about that. And I'd like to see what this off-season does in terms of what accolades and stuff these guys get individually. I think I know a few of them definitely deserve to be nominated, and I'd like to think some of them probably could win some stuff this year. So definitely real proud of this group.
Well, let's talk about some of your favorite things through the year. I'll ask the same 3 questions: favorite moments, favorite memories, favorite games. I don't remember the exact order that I always ask them in, but the first one, I'll start off with some of your favorite moments, whether that be the bus rides in practice, the team meetings, games. What have been some of your favorite moments throughout the season?
Well, those are hard to quantify because at this point in the year, you're more thinking about like, man, I'm going to miss these kids. And now we're at a point where, like, early on in my career here at North Greene, kids leave, but you're more excited about what the future holds. And then that's what happens when you're building a program, is you're more excited about the future than what the past is. And now, over the past few years, we're at a point now in our program where every year you're excited about the future, but you're also reminiscing on the past, and you're like, man, I'm going to miss these kids. And every year you're now losing good kids every year. And now that's just the life of high school football. And but there's a lot of moments that are hard to quantify in terms of whether that's FCA camp, like one of their favorite weeks of the year, the things that happen there.
Carson Newman.
Yeah. Carson Newman. They're a great host, and credit to Larry Bible for fundraising to help us go every single year. It's at no cost to our kids. So that's always a fun time of year. And then some of the Buc-ee's trips, the bus rides, the different stuff you see there, and kind of watching some of these, what I find enjoyable is watching kids who used to be freshmen, as they start to get older, watching them interact with the freshmen. Those are some of the funny moments, and watching our kids do impressions of the coaches. Those are a lot of fun, and they don't know we're watching.
Yeah.
So, and plus, the funny thing is, if we open this door right here, for some reason the sound bounces from the locker room right into this office. We can hear everything they talk about, and hearing them do impressions of coaches is always a good time. We just got to sit here, and then a couple times they'll be doing the impressions, and then like, okay, let's walk in real quick. So we just walk in and stand there, and then they're doing the impression, and then everybody's staring at me, and then the person doing the impressions turns around. So those are always funny moments. But in terms of games, one of the first Greene County game was a big one. Just and watching our kids execute the way that they did was fun. The Cosby game was a lot of fun this year because that was one of the times like we went out and executed in all facets of the game: special teams, defense, offense, all together.
I'm sure you had fun in the Jellicoe game again this year.
That was I probably that's always a wild game. The goal line stand, that was a proud moment.
Yeah.
Because and then just watching our kids do it. And we had another one last week, goal line stand. So we've had a lot of those. It's I remember a few more a couple years ago. So those are definitely big moments. And then didn't come out on the right end, but the Cloudman game was a lot of fun in terms of just kind of when it's a shootout. Now, if it's a defensive scoring, like a low defensive game, like those aren't a whole lot of fun. Mm-hmm. But for some reason, offensive games are when you're just like, okay, well, I guess everybody scored tonight, so we're having to make decisions based on like, okay, they're scoring touchdowns anyway, so let's try to steal some possessions, making decisions like that. But and then just watching us coming up and down the field. Definitely a lot of fun. Watching their reactions when we unveiled the new white helmets was pretty cool. And there was actually only one kid that knew about it because he had a special helmet, and I had to ask him. Like,
oh yeah.
I was like, hey, we're going to do this. I need to know if you're okay with wearing this helmet. So those little things from there. Team meals is another one we have a lot of fun with. But the biggest satisfaction I get out of it is just kind of watching their heads turn when you're talking about real deep philosophical life pondering questions, and you sit there, you see them sulking in it, like, and they're really thinking about what you're talking about, and you're like, man, these kids might have a shot, and because you want them to be successful football wise, but you're hoping like, is there a bigger impact you're making? And you're hoping that maybe we can model some stuff. I've got a picture one of the kids sent me, and I'll probably frame this picture at some point, but Braden sent it to me, and it's a picture of them doing the Husky walk and them high-fiving my two little kids, and it's just kind of the whole family atmosphere that we try to talk about. And so those are the type of things that really means a whole lot, especially when your own kids are getting involved and you got players sending you pictures of that type of stuff. Means a whole lot.
Let's go throughout some of the stats too before we wrap this up. Also, I know you've got some in front of you. You talked about some of the offensive stats, but we've got defensive stats too. So while you've got the sheets out in front of us out here, talk about some of the most impressive stats that you've had this year.
Well, our leading tackler of the year is Leon Johnson, who had 85 total tackles. Now, I'm going to go ahead and preface this. I don't know how other teams tally their tackles. We tally them the right way.
Assist is half a tackle? Or assist?
Well, like when you combine total tackles, it's supposed to be tackles plus assist or total tackles. Okay. It's not. But
so not a half tackle?
Like, we don't give everybody assists. It's the first two players that get to the – so it's literally half a tackle. So the first two players that get there are the two kids that get the tackle. So where sometimes, like, there's some places that if you jump on a pile at the end of the play, they give you, oh, that's a tackle. So we're very stingent on that. So, like, these numbers are well earned is what I'm saying. So, but Leon led our team in tackles. He had 85 total tackles, 45 solo, and 40 assisted. Had 5 tackles for loss, 3 quarterback pressures, and 1 sack. Levi Gray was our second leading tackler with 71 total, had 43 solo, 28 assists. He was the kid that was a surprise this year. First year playing football for us.
Wow.
Really got a knack for it. He also had a sack. Brandon was our third leading tackler with 55, 2 tackles for loss, had 2 sacks, 3 caused fumbles, a recovered fumble for a touchdown, and 1 interception. Kelson Eastep was our fourth leading tackler with 44 tackles, had a tackle for loss, 1 sack, 2 PBUs. Blake Hurd was our fifth tackler with 32 tackles, and anything over 30 is pretty impressive for a defensive lineman. Had 3.5 tackles for loss, 5 quarterback pressures, and a half a sack. Colton Suggs had 32 tackles, 6.5 tackles for loss, 2 quarterback pressures, and 4.5 sacks. So pretty impressive group from there. A couple other notes is both Thomas Darnell and Matthew Boyd both had 2 interceptions apiece. Thomas had 1 return for a touchdown. But a lot of guys on this stat sheet defensively making a lot of big plays from there. A couple guys we hadn't really talked about offensively, but definitely want to note a couple kids offensively hadn't talked about yet, but I want to make note of. Leon especially had a great year offensively, was very efficient run game wise. Had over 10 touchdowns, rushed for about 500 yards, averaged 6 yards a carry. And then collectively as a group rushing wise, like I told you, the first time we've rushed for over 2,000 yards. But the big impressive thing to me is 7.1 yards per carry. That's winning football up front. So those front guys can definitely be real proud about that. But one kid in particular, Jared Swatzel, he had to step into a big role when Thomas went out for a game, and a game that ended up propelling us to be able to host the playoff game this year. It ended up being a very important Jellicoe game. And he was very efficient that game, again, very efficient, responsible for making sure we went out and won that ball game, and he deserves a lot of credit for that. And our guys knew what they had to do going into it, and they did exactly that. So I was definitely happy there. Then can't talk about our year without talking about our kicker Juan.
My man.
So Juan had 31 PATs this year, and so had a little slump as a sophomore, but that's normal when somebody first year coming out football last year, and now he's actually starting to work on stuff, and people are starting to actually come after the kick a little bit. So, but still put the 31 PATs through. So definitely. But as I look through here, there's a lot of names, a lot of younger guys on our scoring chart, going out scoring. Jared Swatzel, Tanner Collins with a scoop and score touchdown at the end of the year. Kelson Eastep with 6 touchdown receptions on the year, was a solid receiver for us. Levi Gray scoring a 2-point conversion late in the year. Matthew Boyd, 2 touchdowns, interceptions, 2-point conversions in some big games. Kason Massey was a big surprise at the end of the year as a tight end when Dylan was out for the year. Kason stepped in and did a really good job, and ended up catching a receiving touchdown as a tight end. That's a huge deal. So a lot of good things to build upon. We are going to miss the senior class, that's for sure, but thus is life in high school football. So question is who of that younger group is going to be the guys that step up next, and this group deserves all the praise and all the recognition for what they did. Us coaches, we didn't play a single game last 4 years. Didn't play a single one of them. So give all these kids the credit they deserve, and they deserve all of it.
One last time from the round table. It's been a pleasure this year.
It has been a pleasure.
Hate to see the season end, but Had to end at some point. Just wish it would have been in Chattanooga. But that's all we've got this year, unless you've got anything else to add before we cut it off. No coffee. Come on, guys. We got to have somebody out here that gives
I will say to this senior class, job well done. You guys deserve it. I know as coach staff will miss you guys, and I know I'll personally miss you.
All right, that's all we've got. So thank you. If you're still watching at this point, these are some of the most loyal supporters and loyal fans there are. But thank you all for making it this far.
Our Easter eggs.
We can't tell them though.
Oh, okay.
We can't tell them. We got to keep it going.
Okay.
Got to keep it going throughout the future.
I'm about to say, I'll pay somebody if you can tell us what the Easter eggs are.
We mentioned it at the beginning of the season, but nobody ever brought it up to me. So if you ever do find out the Easter egg, please let us know down in the comments. But without anything else to talk about, that's it. So thank you all for watching this year's edition of the Baileyton Drug Company Eric Tilson Show. We look forward to seeing you next year here on First Horizons Green Sports Zone.